Hey everyone, in this video we will be talking about Django templates. So I will be discussing just the terminologies in terms of Django templates for this video, but in the next couple of videos we will be implementing something. Okay, so Django templates, we're going to talk about variables, filters, tags, comments, and the concept of template inheritance. So there are generally these concepts, okay, again, templates, variables, filters, tags, comments, and template inheritance. So what are Django templates? Django templates are essentially text files as opposed to binary files, okay? So they are source files. Django templates can generate other text-based formats. They may contain variables, or they contain variables that get replaced during evaluation and or render, and they contain tags, which are logic control mechanisms. Okay, so this is a sample of a template. It looks kind of scary, but it's really not. So what it says here is I'm extending base.html, and then in the block named title, I'm putting this string homepage. Okay, so this text here, and then end block. So this is like a closing curly bracket, and then the block content. Okay, I am putting this in hello world, and then after that I would have a table, and in the table I'm doing a for loop over all the task objects. If that item is active, I will generate a table row, and the table row would have a class of isDoing if the item is currently being done, and then I would cycle between an odd or even depending on if it's first, second, it's in an odd numbered position or even numbered position. And then I would have cells that would contain the ID, the URL, a link that is wherein the string there is the item name that is in all caps, and then we have our created on and all the tags. Okay, so this is an example. So in Django templating, variables use what's called the mustache syntax, which is two curly brackets, and in between those two curly brackets are your variables. Attributes of variables can be accessed using the dot syntax. If the attribute is callable, or also known as a function, it is called without any arguments. Okay, so filters, meanwhile, are special functions, if you can think of it that way, that allow for modification of variables for display. Essentially, you are piping these variables into filters using the pipe symbol. There are built-in filters, some of which I will be showing you, but it's also possible to create your own custom filters. Okay, so the first one is cap first filter, so it will capitalize. You could add a date formatting, time formatting. You can join a list. You can set all letters uppercase or lowercase. Okay, those are the most basic ones that I'm showing you, but others can be found in the link in the slides that accompany this video. Okay, and then tags are flow control structures or other simple functions that generate and or load data. They are used, so the syntax for using it is you have an opening curly bracket, a percent sign, and then the name of your tag, and then your a closing number sign and curly brackets. Okay, similar to filters, Django has a bunch of these built in, Okay, but custom ones can also be created. Common tags are stuff like a for loop. Okay, I can do a for loop. For item in items, items being an array. Or an if else. So if, else, and if. And then this is something that loads data, the static tag. So to use static files, you have to make sure that your settings are properly configured so that Django contrib.static files is in installed apps in your settings file. And then the static URL is set in settings.py. Okay, so when we load something like this, static cover.jpg, it will look for cover.jpg in that static folder in your app. Okay. Lastly, we have, for at least for what I'm showing you, we have our block and extends. So block defines a block of content essentially that can be replaced in templates. And then extends basically says that that is a base template that I'm using. I will overwrite what I can through the blocks. Okay. So, and then you have comments. Comments essentially look like tags, except you're replacing the percent sign with a pound sign, and they put the comment there. That is a single line comment. But if you're using multi-line comments, you will be using the comment tag, like this one. Okay. So you will no longer be using the pound sign. Instead, you will be using the percent signs. Okay, so comment and then end comment. Do not forget to put your closing tags. Otherwise, it will error out. Okay. And then there's this concept of template inheritance. When creating multiple pages, boilerplate code is going to be duplicated across your different pages. Okay, so if it's your HTML, all the information in your head, all the style sheets, etc., if it is going to be reused, those will get, you're going to have to copy paste that all the time. Okay, so instead of doing that, you can create a base template that uses inheritance, and those and then you would have templates that will extend that base file. Okay, and then each of those templates would contain the display logic it needs and nothing more. So it would look something like this. A base.html example. So I have all the basics for an HTML file right here, but notice I have a block here named title and a block here named content. So this block title, if you remember from this slide, where is that slide? From this slide, homepage. It's now called homepage instead of hello world. And then our content would contain the heading tag h1, and then there's no content, but it will get inserted there. Actually, no, that's it. Everything in content would go here. Okay. And since I've shown you that, obviously we need to do something with it. So in the next video, we'll be creating our first base file.